Are we ready? Okay, good morning, everybody. We're going to call to order our Board of Control meeting.
Morning, everyone. Calling the roll for the Monday, April 6th Board of Control meeting. It is now 11:03 a.m. We have Dale Miller.
Here.
Nan Baker.
Here.
Trevor Macular serving as an alternate for Dan Brady.
Here.
Mike Chambers serving as an alternate for Armin Budish.
Here.
Lee Tucker serving as an alternate for the fiscal officer.
Here.
Nicole English serving as an alternate for Mike Dever.
Here.
Lenora Lockett. Here. We have a quorum.
Okay, let's review the minutes real fast from March 23rd, and I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second. This is Trevor.
Thank you, Trevor. Seconded by Trevor. All those in favor say aye.
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 No opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Any public comment?
No public comment at this time.
Contracts and awards.
First new item, item number BC 2020-200, Department of Public Works, submitting an amendment to a contract with CE 19000106 with Glaus, Pyle, Schomer, Burns, and DeHaven Incorporated. It's doing business as GPD Group for professional engineering and Phase 2 design services in connection with the rehabilitation of Warrensville Center Road, bridges numbers 05.92 East and 05.92 West over the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority Rapid Transit Tracks in the city of Shaker Heights, and is for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $498,555.
Nicole English with Public Works. So this item is a Part 1, Part 2, our typical bridge project. So even though it's an amendment, it was always anticipated to have two phases. Once we did an initial study of what needs to be done on the bridges, now this will cover the final design and get us to construction plans. So they were selected with an RFQ process with the intent to do the entire project. The construction of the project is not scheduled till 2022. However, this is a pretty complex project over the GCRTA railroad tracks, which is why we would like to keep continuing working. We would expect about 50% issue 1 to come back on design, but we won't apply for that until right before construction. So right now it's showing road and bridge dollars, but we would hope that half of this comes back from issue 1.
Thank you, Nicole. Are there any questions from the board members? Okay, hearing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second. This is
Second.
Dale.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Thank you.
Next item, item number BC 2020-201, Department of Public Works, submitting an amendment, subsidiary number 2, to a contract with Fabrizi Recycling, Inc. for a reconstruction and widening of Sprague Road from Webster Road to West 130th Street in the cities of Middleburg Heights, North Royalton, Parma, and Strongsville for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $209,249.45.
Nicole English again with Public Works. This is a construction change order for just over $200,000. Most of this work is getting charged back to the city of Parma because it's related to drainage issue and some plan changes that they requested. So they are funding $177,000 of this change order. The rest is split between OPWC, issue 1, the county, and then the remaining municipalities.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Are there any questions on this item?
Hey, Mike, this is Trevor. No questions on this item, but I just wanted to let you know, I got a couple texts, the live stream. It's working for some, but with no sound. Just so you know, there appears to be an audio issue.
Okay. Thank you for that comment. We'll get our technical team on it. In the interim, I will then make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second?
Second. This is Dale.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved.
Next item, item number BC 2020-202, Department of Public Works, submitting an amendment to subsidiary number 5 with Great Lakes Construction Co. for the Towpath Trail Stage 1 from Harvard Avenue Trailhead to Steelyard Commons in the city of Cleveland, and is for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $66,167.61.
Nicole English with Public Works again, another construction change order. This is for stage 1 of the Towpath. The main issues here that were being addressed are unforeseen field conditions that required additional pavement removal and saw cutting as directed by the city of Cleveland, and some utility changes. The good part is this is funded 80% with federal funding and 20% local, which is the city of Cleveland, so the county does not have a share in this amendment.
Thank you, Nicole. Are there any questions for Nicole on this item? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item is a two-part item, item number BC 2020-203, Department of Development. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 905, which will result in an award recommendation to Economic and Community Development Institute in the amount not to exceed $500,000 for grants and loans to small businesses in Cuyahoga County impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's for the period April 6th, 2020 through December 31st, 2020, and B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Thank you. This is Paul Hertig with the Department of Development. This contract is a key part of the county's response to the impact the COVID crisis is having on our small businesses. I will tell you that over the past 2 weeks, the county executive and Ted Carter have been working very hard to assemble resources and to make sure they're being used appropriately. We're monitoring very closely the developments with the federal program. The two big federal programs are the Economic Impact Disaster Loan Program, which does have the ability to have an advance of up to $10,000, and the Payment Protection Program loan program. We have been working all last week and even over the weekend to make sure we understand how those programs are operating and what they do and do not provide for small businesses. And our Small Business Resource Center will be directing small businesses whenever possible to use the federal programs. They have a scale of funding available far beyond what we can provide. Unfortunately, our research shows there are still significant gaps in both these programs. One of the largest gaps we've identified is that the very smallest businesses, those that are owner-operated, sole proprietors, fall through the gap and may not be able to receive much, if any, assistance under either program. So we've been working with our partners, and as indicated in the item, we are recommending a contract that will provide $500,000 of the county's economic development funding. This will be with our partner, Economic and Community Development Institute. So the contract language is actually being finalized today, but in broad outlines, there will be a grant pool of up to $500,000. The grants will be no more than $5,000 each. There'll be eligibility for small businesses with a preference to those that are community-based, community-serving in the low and moderate income portions of the county. There will be an application process that's designed to make sure that only as much as is needed is given to each business. As the contract will provide, the Economic Community Development Institute will review each application, but a staff member of the Department of Development will need to sign off on each grant before it's put out. And as indicated on the eligibility sheet, we're only looking to work with small businesses up to 20 employees, and we think that the majority will be much smaller than that. So there will be an associated loan program, which we have a number of partners, and each partner will operate their own loan program, but the broad outlines of that will essentially say that there will be generally a period of deferment because businesses don't have much revenue right now, and some of the loans will be made at a low interest rate. I'm going to stop here and invite any questions.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Are there any questions?
And Mike, it's
I have a couple questions.
let Councilman go.
Go ahead, Councilman Miller.
So, my question, could you say a little bit more about the first of the federal programs, that injury program, and what that program covers and what it doesn't cover, making this program necessary?
Certainly. Thank you. The Economic Impact Disaster Loan Program is a direct loan program operated by the U.S. Small Business Administration. It has an online application portal, which was recently upgraded last week, so it actually works quite smoothly now. And I can attest from personal experience, having a family member that applied, that the portal itself is working. The loan is a traditional disaster loan from the Small Business Administration, which is meant to cover actual losses a business sustains, in this case, economic losses, due to the fact many businesses have been ordered to close and others have their supply chain disrupted. There's information a business provides about their current revenue and then how their revenue's been impacted. And so that the loan is sized accordingly. However, what's most critical here is that Congress did authorize a $10,000 advance for businesses that apply for the loan. And that's the area where we've been very concerned. So the latest information we have available is there was a public statement by a senior SBA official last week that the amount of the advance would depend on the number of employees, and that only companies with 10 employees would be able to receive the full $10,000 advance. And we verified that by seeing an internal training document SBA made available on Friday. So while we're hopeful that our small businesses will be able to qualify for a loan, it appears that the advance feature, which is what's going to come quickly, is going to be less useful for the very smallest businesses.
Okay, and second question is that I saw this item flagged as one that hasn't gone through the full procurement process. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, sir. Our staff have begun the procurement process. They've entered the requisition into the county system, and as the contract, which is being finalized today, is available, that will be loaded in. We are working with the administrative staff at ECDI to make sure all the required attachments are there. We've already determined the insurance requirement thanks to our law department and verified that that's insurance they have. So our staff is moving as quickly as possible to complete all the Lawson required documentation.
So, if we pass this item today, how soon can we get started on providing assistance?
It's anticipated that the application is going to be finalized as soon as today, made available to the small businesses within the next 1 or 2 days, and that processing will be taking place this week.
So you want to pass it today so you can get started?
Yes, sir.
Does it make any sense to pass it today but make it contingent on completion of the regular procurement process items?
Our concern is that due to the fact that we're just standing up the new Lawson process for contracts, that there may be possibly unanticipated glitches in the system. This will be the first contract development that's put through under the new system. So we would not disperse any money till the process is completed. That's understood. We'll not be looking for an emergency payment of money, but we do pledge to complete the process.
Okay, thanks.
Trevor, go ahead.
Just to follow up to Councilman Miller's point, Councilman, it's Trevor. The one thing that when we were talking with the county executive about this, we did ask through the council president to put this on the Border Control, knowing that everything might not be in on time, but versus treating this as an emergency purchase. So I think we had general understanding, they might not have everything in right away, but knowing that hopefully, in the next couple of days, everything would get added into the system and go through the normal process. So that, just a little bit more background for why everything's not in there yet. The one question, Paul, I had, do we have an interest rate that we are gonna charge on the loans, or will it vary by business, or, if you said that, I'm sorry, I might have missed that.
Great question. We did attach a PDF file with an eligibility outline. I can circulate that again. I will say that there's different needs that different businesses have. The main need is that nobody can afford to start making payments immediately. So a common feature will be a deferment period for all the loans that are made. We're looking at a 6-month deferment period. Then a portion of the money will be available at 0%, but some of the partners are lending money that they in turn need to borrow. So they need to provide a rate of return to the place where they're getting their funds. So we anticipate there'll be a few loans at 0%, but the majority will be at relatively standard rates, where the big concession is the 6-month deferment period.
This is Nan Baker, if I can ask a question.
Sure.
A couple things. One is the number to call for the programs that we're talking about now. Would that be a call into the Business Center funding that we've been advertising? Is that the number?
Yes, we'll continue to use the hotline number, and the staff that answer the hotline are trained daily on the latest information. There is a available link on the county's website, the county's Help for Business website, that lets a small business actually right now complete a pre-application by taking a survey, and all those survey responses are looked at by staff, and based on those survey responses, the businesses will be contacted to apply for the grant and the loans.
Okay, and I'm just trying to be clear. On the $10,000 advance, is that the loan we're talking about that's 6 months deferred?
Thank you. That is a different program. We've been talking about the federal program run by the Small Business Administration, which itself is offering an advance.
Okay.
Our program is a separate program where we will be processing requests for grants of no more than $5,000, and many of them will be less. So that's separate from the federal.
Got it. Thank you for that clarity. Question on the $5,000 grant. Have we determined, especially for small businesses, which we are targeting, like hair salons and barber shops and things, is $5,000 going to be enough? I mean, we know that any money is received money, but in the course of a business for a month, is $5,000 going to make a difference in, meeting the requirements that they have, or even for their own, survival? I just wonder, how did we come up with the number 5,000, that is the number that we think will help those businesses, endure over the next month, and this could go on longer?
Thank you for the question. This was one of the most difficult things we talked about both internally with our partners over at ECDI. One of the things we did is we had our staff do a scan of what other cities and counties are doing. And by looking around, basically through internet research, it appears that the 5,000 figures, one, a lot of our peers are also using. We are balancing, honestly, the need to get money quickly with the fact we only have limited resources available. We do think that a grant of up to $5,000 will, in many cases, be sufficient. What we need to do, though, is make sure every business also requests deferment of its expenses when it can. As I'm sure people know, the governor of Ohio has signed an order requesting that commercial landlords provide 3 months deferment without taking action to evict, and also requesting that lenders provide up to 3 months deferment. So as we work with businesses, we are absolutely counseling and advising them, you should request these deferments and only use our grant funds for things that you cannot get deferred so you can survive.
Okay, thank you, and I know that's a difficult balance. I'm just, thank you for the strategy of how you came up with that.
Are there any further questions? Seeing or hearing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman
Dale.
Miller. Okay, seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Item passed. Thank you.
Next item, item number PC 2020-204, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to a contract with Infor Public Sector, Inc. for information technology services and solutions for the Enterprise Resource Planning System, and is for the period October 27, 2016 through October 26, 2021, to modify the scope of services to add project drive schedule extension and support for Phase 2A payroll and Phase 2C workforce management work streams, effective April 6, 2020, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $483,768.
Hi, good morning. Janelle Green on behalf of the Department of IT. This item, as Andrea stated, is for the extension of the project drive project, to go out into the rollout in July, and then for post go live support for these items for payroll and workforce management work streams. Because of the extension of the schedule, this will require us to add on $483,768 to account for that support. I will gladly take any questions, and Jack is here to field questions as well.
Are there any questions on this item?
This is Dale.
Go ahead, Dale.
And I would like to thank Jack and the Project Dive team for the answers to the advanced questions. I found it quite detailed and instructive, and gave me a good understanding of what the challenges are that you're facing trying to do this implementation despite the coronavirus crisis. And I do support what we're trying to do here. I think if we decide we should have a pause in the project, I think it should take place after we've implemented payroll and workforce development. Thank you.
Are there any further questions?
This is Nan Baker, if I could ask a question.
Sure, please.
I see on the backup detail, or I should say the answers to questions we asked, I'm sorry, that there's a pretty big clause here that says the only thing that will stop deployment to approximately 150 end users is the COVID-19 restrictions preventing use of classroom training in May. So, I mean, what are we, and you don't have real alternatives right now. So is this a reality, do you think? What is the percentage, or what do you think we're going to do if we're not able to move forward in the classroom training piece of this, which will take us to that April 27th deadline? What are your thoughts on how we're going to be successful?
Yeah, this is Jack Ryan, Program Director for ERP. I think we have two possibilities. I feel pretty confident that we'll be able to get through this, and the reason for that is that, I think first of all, I think we have the classes that are going to run over that period of time, that 5 or 6 week period of time. They're about 15 people per class, okay?
Okay.
And 2 or 3 days apiece, depending on the subject. We have a classroom on the 6th floor. We have 2 classrooms on the 6th floor with dividers that can be opened up with about, I don't know, I think 40 plus seats. So there's one solution here is we just open up both areas and spread people far apart and require people to come in for training. That's one. Barring that, if there's any issues with that, we are looking at a piece of software. It's not a couple of different options here to do remote training, but that's certainly less desirable, as I had indicated in my response write-up. So I think we're going to be pushing pretty hard to just try to get the right people in a room, at least for the training sessions, so that we can get through this.
And how many did you say you had in training that you need to space apart?
It's about a total of about 150 for the fiscal April go lives. About a total of 150 people, roughly, and about 12 to 15 people per class. So we're going to be running these things serially, multiple classes, but not at the same time, but sequentially. So.
Okay.
I think there's a good chance that we could spread people apart enough to get through this. So we've been talking about that even this morning after I wrote the response.
Great, thank you, because that was not included in the response. That's good to hear, Jack. Thank you.
Yep, apologize for that. Okay.
So Jack, to follow up on that, how many people do we need to train for the go-lives in July?
Well, for the go-live in July, we've got, it's much more complex just because we've got to train and educate both, about 7,000 employees for the county to use, some of those are using time clocks, some of those are using the time entry system through the web, just like they do now. And so that's a much more complex question. That requires that time clocks obviously require that people be on site together to go through and use a time clock. The web training classes potentially could be done remotely, but that's again, that's not ideal in this case. The best thing is to go on site and do those training classes for people there. So we don't have a perfect solution for that at this point in time, and as I indicated, that's a more challenging scenario that we're going to have to work through.
Are there any further questions in this item? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second, this is Dale.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Item approved.
Before we go on, I would just like to mention, I received a text from the Department of Information Technology. The issue that we are having with the sound is a building-wide issue, and it will not be resolved by the end of the meeting. So I just wanted to let everybody know, please bear with us. But again, it is a building-wide issue.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay.
Next item.
Moving on to the next item, item number BC 2020-205, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to a contract with Mainsail LLC for staff augmentation services for the Enterprise Resource Planning Project, and it's for the period September 17th, 2018 through June 30th, 2020, to extend the time period to August 31st, 2020, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $384,451.13.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. This contract amendment is to extend the services of approximately 8 FTE from Mainsail in order to support the county in the ERP efforts. So this would, one, extend the contract from June 30th to August 31st to supply post-go-live support as well, and to add on the funds in the approximately $384,000.
Thank you, Janelle. Are there any
We'll gladly
questions?
take any questions.
Yeah, any questions?
Yes, this is Dale, and just a comment that I support this, and I don't know where we'd be without Mainsail, but I also have to say that we really need to do better at recruiting the in-house staff to perform a lot of this stuff, because we pay a lot of overhead on the Mainsail contract. It's just not a cost-effective way to do this, and we just just really need to work on that.
Thank you, Dale. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second, this is Dale.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item approved.
Next item, item number BC 2020-206, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to a contract with Great Northern Consulting LLC for support and maintenance on 5 Sun Solaris Operating System T4 servers for the period June 30th, 2015 through June 29th, 2022, to expand the scope of services to add remote support of Unix platforms effective April 6, 2020, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $208,560.
Hi, Janelle Green again on behalf of the Department of IT. This contract is for Great Northern Consulting that has been working with our engineering department for some years at this point, supporting our Sun Solaris servers that currently house SAP and MVP, which is our appraisal fiscal information, and some other minor applications. This is to supply support for the maintenance of those servers, as we have some long-term employees that are retiring within the next month, and probably the last person that we have on staff that actually knows these servers inside and out. So this company would be helping us navigate through that as we get to the point of where we're ready to sunset these servers.
Thank you, Janelle. Are there any questions?
Yes, sort of on the same line as the last question I raised. Is there any possibility that we could find and hire someone who could be knowledgeable in this area and work for the county and perform this work probably at considerably lower cost than this contract?
Councilman Miller, this is Andy Moles, Deputy Chief Technology Officer. You're correct. Our goal on this is to eventually sunset these and get these eliminated. And yeah, I mean, we're really beating the employee market hard to find the qualified people to come in here. It's kind of a catch-22. It's at the same time as we're trying to hire somebody qualified to support these, you know, we're hoping that we could eventually turn these systems off. Hopefully, again, this services are only, we're not paying a full-time cost for these services. It's only when we need support and help. So I just want to clarify, these are not full-time people that are going to be looking at it. This is not to exceed costs of $208,000. We may not spend that much money. It's only in case, kind of more of a contingency plan. In case something does happen, we can call them, we can reach out to them, and they can assist us in correcting the problem.
Are there any further questions on this item?
This is Nan Baker.
Yeah, Mike, it's Trevor.
Nan, go first. Go ahead.
The 2-year period of time, and looking at your office and those that are reaching retirement, have we done, an analysis of who is nearing retirement and how we can perhaps replace that pipeline of those that are getting near that time? Was this a surprise that we had these long-term employees give their notice of retirement? Where are you in analyzing your department?
Yes, this one person actually, that was a kind of a surprise to us, but we are doing a succession planning stage right now, and I don't believe we're in that critical situation at this point. This person's worked here quite some time, but we have been preparing a succession plan of reviewing all of the current employees and what their years are, and what they actually support at this point in time. So we have done that, and I don't believe we're in other than this situation, I feel very confident that the other systems that we have moving forward, we got the proper people and a tenure, more than 5 to 10 years.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Trevor?
Yes, no, Trevor, is 206 and 207, are those in our total ERP budget project costs, or are these numbers separately tracked? So because we're delayed, both of these numbers are obviously increasing, but is this in our $33 million number, or is this separately tracked?
Are you talking about for 204 and 205?
No, 206, 207.
206,
Right,
206
and 207.
Well, 206 will be separately tracked for us. 207 is in HR's purview. But 206 is tracked separately. It's not necessarily, it's not just only ERP's cost, but it also goes on the fiscal, because it really would be reliant upon the Harris project to be up and running as well.
Real property, Trevor.
Okay. So, but the answer to 206 are these extensions related to the delay in the ERP implementation? Yes. I mean, I just think the ones that we have to keep renewing or adding extensions should be at least factored in the total cost of the ERP implementation, because we've got to keep paying for the other systems because we're delayed in the ERP.
Right. We do have a separate list of what the maintenance of legacy systems and how much those costs are. We do have a separate list.
Can we get that, Janelle, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Trevor.
Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, item approved.
Next item, item number BC 2020-207, Department of Human Resources, submitting an amendment to a contract with Imix Technology, Inc. for technical support and software maintenance of Kronos time clocks, and it's for the period February 1st, 2015 through March 29th, 2020, to extend the time period to March 29th, 2021, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $18,319.06.
Good morning, Pat Smock on behalf of Human Resources. This is an amendment to extend the technical support agreement with the vendor. They provide service to the county executive agency time clocks. We have over 1,500 employees in 24/7 operations who utilize the clocks for multiple punches per shift. We're actually teaming with this vendor right now on a requested reconfiguration of the clocks. It's required service to keep the clocks functioning properly. This should be the final agreement with this firm, as the clocks will be rotated out, as we've been discussing during the ERP go-live, and we appreciate the board's consideration of the request.
Thank you, Pat. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second Nancy, sir.
Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved.
Next item, item number BC 2020-208, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, submitting an amendment to a contract with CHN Housing Partners, formerly known as Cleveland Housing Network, Inc., for utility assistance and financial counseling services for TANF-eligible residents for the period April 1st, 2017 through March 31st, 2020, to extend the time period to March 31st, 2021, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $195,000.
Good morning, this is Chris Alexander, Health and Human Services on behalf of Cuyahoga Job and Family Services. We are seeking to amend the contract with CHN Housing Partners, who negotiates utility company payments with our PRC eligible families. They also enroll clients in appropriate utility assistance programs and provide budget counseling. One of their strengths also is to leverage existing funds to meet the gap between what the client owes and what the client is eligible for under PRC. CHN, we competitively procured this service through an RFP for services to begin in 2017. This does represent a third amendment. They were the only respondents in 2016 when this RFP was issued. They've been providing this service at a unit rate which has remained flat for the last 3 years. They have expanded to 6 different locations, and during the COVID crisis, they are fully operational via remote telephone, their voice-over telephone software. This is 100% TANF dollars, and we did receive some advanced questions with respect to whether or not we might see an increased need for this service post-COVID or during the COVID crisis. And it's my understanding that the local utility companies have all suspended their disconnections. So CHN, while they're only paid for the actual, clients that they see and services that they render, my sense is that they will, work to restore anybody that has a disconnection prior to the COVID crisis, but that we won't see an increase during the crisis.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, are there any questions?
Yes, this is Dale. I have a couple questions.
Yes.
Is this program funded from the PRC money?
It's TANF dollars. It's the same pool, general pool of temporary assistance to needy family dollars, yes.
But it's not PRC specifically.
It's PRC. It's earmarked for PRC, so individuals have to come in and file a PRC application to be eligible for funds for the utilities.
And I saw some information where in Franklin County they did a substantial program to make PRC money available to help people with a variety of financial crisis stuff that has come up because of the COVID thing. And my question is whether we're planning on doing anything like that in Cuyahoga County.
We do have a full PRC plan. I do not believe it specifically today currently addresses the COVID crisis. My understanding would be that the state would have to approve any changes, but I can ask the director.
So could you do so and send us a follow-up report?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions from anyone? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second, this is Dale.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item, item number BC.
I'm sorry, Andrea, this is Jared. I have to interrupt for 1 second before we move on. I'm concerned that the public can't hear the meetings. Is there a way that we can post the call-in information for the public and put it on the screen on the streaming site, please?
We'll do everything that we can. I'll have to check with the
No, I know
department.
we're doing everything that we can.
Right, but I'll have to
I
check
wanna
with
make
it.
sure-
Yes,
I want to
yes.
make sure that the meeting is open to the public, and if the way it was going to be open was to stream it online, if they can't hear it and if that's not going to be corrected, I would like to at least be able to post the call-in information for the public so that they have a chance to call in with public comment at the end.
Right, and so the first thing is when I did send out the agenda as well as posted on the county's website, this number is included for the public in case they did have public comment. And then number two, for any additional information that I cannot provide right now, I know that Andy's still on the call and he might be able to answer any questions that I can't answer.
As long as the call-in information with the code was provided to the public, then I'm satisfied.
Right, it was provided to the public. It's listed on the website, the county's website agenda, as well as for the media. It was listed in the email that I sent out with the agenda as well.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't know if it was available publicly, but it sounds like if you posted that call information on the website, then I am satisfied. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry for interrupting.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks, Jared. Next item?
Moving on to the next item, item number BC 2020-209, Sheriff's Department. It's a two-part item. A, submitting an RFP exemption on a purchase order which will result in an award recommendation to JNS Foods LLC in the amount not to exceed $1,150, and it's for the purchase of coffee. And B, recommending an award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Steve Witt with the Sheriff's Department. This is a request for approval to pay for an overage of coffee that was ordered in the fourth quarter of 2019. This overage is the result of a discrepancy between BuySpeed, our internal documents, and the bid that the vendor submitted. The case size that we bid out was significantly smaller than the case size bid, but our documents and our original approval did not reflect that. So thus, our jail staff ordered more coffee than what we had approval to do. So, and due to payment delays within the ERP system implementation in the first quarter, the discrepancy wasn't discovered until later, resulting in this request being past due. This coffee is provided to inmate trustees as a perk for doing work within the jail in the jail kitchen. I verified that of the original 50 cases, there are over 40 cases remaining, so the coffee has not walked off and been used for other purposes at this time. The staff in the jail have been informed to double check case sizes and the approval dollar amounts before ordering to prevent these type of issues. But again, because of this disconnect where the jail staff is ordering the food, because they know what they need, and the fiscal staff handling the billing, there's always the chance of overages sometimes happening and bringing these forward.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions?
Yes, this is Dale, and I have a couple questions. On a percentage basis, how large was the overage?
The overage is about 25%.
And how long will it take before the overage is used up?
I would imagine that we should have, through the middle of the year, we should have plenty of coffee available.
Okay, so you can make use of it. It's not like any of it's going to go to waste. Am I correct?
Oh no, it's like the freeze dried, sealed. It's perfectly fine, and we'll make sure that it gets used. Their first and second quarter bids were amended to. We adjusted our bid amounts to reduce the amount of coffee that they could order subsequently because of the inventory that they have of this.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second. This is Dale.
Okay, we'll second it by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Item approved.
Next item, item number BC 2020-210, Prosecutor's Office, recommending an award on a purchase order to Celebrite Inc. in the amount not to exceed $40,000 for a sole source purchase of one Celebrite Premium Mobile Data Extraction License for use in investigation and prosecution of child exploitation offenders for the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. And it's for the period April 6, 2020 through April 5th, 2021.
David Ferteri with the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force on behalf of the County Prosecutor's Office. This item is for the purchase of a Celebrite Premium, which is a software that will complement our existing Celebrite forensic licenses, and it will aid us in the legal extraction of those mobile devices that are encrypted or password protected for use in these child exploitation investigations.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions on this item? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second. This is Dale.
Second, this is Trevor.
Dale got you again, Trevor. Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item approved. Thank you.
Moving on to exemptions, item number BC 2020-211, Department of Public Works, recommending to amend board approval number BC 2019-13, dated January 7th, 2019, which amended various other Board of Control approvals, which authorized an alternative procurement process, which resulted in purchase orders to various providers for medical, surgical, and animal care services. And it's for the period February 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2020, by changing the amount not to exceed from $250,000 to $400,000.
Good morning. Tom Pavich, Department of Public Works. This item, similar to one we had 2 weeks ago with our concrete, we're looking to amend an alternate procurement. This one is specific to the county kennel for emergency services. This allows the kennel to go to the best emergency facility based on time, availability, and the care type. We're looking to increase it by $150,000. It's not a contract. It's an allowable dollar amount. Each time we do have a transaction, it will come back to the Board of Control for approval as a department order. We've got multiple vendors we've historically used, but we're not naming them specifically in this alternate procurement amendment, just because we don't know which vendors we would actually go to. But as a note, we do have one vendor that we do contract with for the county kennel. It's for on-site surgeries, but they have limitations as well. So there's certain surgeries and emergencies that they don't do or they provide. But this alternate procurement allows us to go to vendors immediately based on emergencies and the business need to care for the animals at the kennel.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions in this item? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second, this is Dale.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Item approved.
Thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda, we have one item, item number BC 2020-212, and it's the purchased orders for this week.
Are there any questions on the purchase orders? I know there was a question asked, and I believe it was answered, but if there's any further ones? Okay, hearing none, I will make a motion to approve today's consent agenda items. Do I have a second?
Second, this is Dale.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. So we'll move on once again.
To other business, there is no other business at this time. I would like now to, I would like to ask now if there, I'm sorry?
This is Nan Baker. I did have a question on one that we've already approved, if I may, even if it's just extra information being sent to me.
Sure.
May I ask that question?
Yes, go ahead.
The BC 2020-203, the stabilization fund or the Business Resource Center, $500,000 that we're adding. There was something said, I believe, by Mr. Hertug regarding the low to moderate income. Can we get details on what low to moderate income is so that we're not telling some of our smaller retail businesses to, ask for relief when perhaps they don't qualify because of the community they live in?
Okay, we'll have our team send Paul an email, and we'll have him respond to the group.
Thank you very much.
Yes, this is Dale, and I appreciate that question, and I would be interested in seeing that as well.
Okay, will do.
I also have another question, if I may.
Sure.
The question is regarding our next meeting, since we are now having remote capability and don't have to meet in person. Are we going to go back to the weekly schedule?
we're capable of it if we'd like to do that.
Mike, this is Trevor.
We
Are you
probably
seeing-
should, depending on what the level of business is.
Go ahead, Trevor. Yeah.
That was going to be my question, Mike. Do we anticipate a large number of items? Do you think it's working every 2 weeks? Do you have any thoughts? I just don't know how much would be in the queue for the next agenda.
Well, we take a look at that and we'll get back to you maybe later today and we'll make a decision based on the items in the queue. Sound good?
That makes sense.
That works for me, Tao. Is that okay?
Okay, that's what we'll do then. Continuing on?
We have no other business at this time. I would like to call right now for public comment if there's any.
Last chance for public comment, anyone? Okay, hearing no further public comment and no other items, I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Baker.
Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.